This is an analysis from Alpha Business Media. You know, when the government in Nepal started rolling out apps like the Nagarik app, there was this huge sense of promise, right? This idea that we were finally moving into a future from endless paperwork and those long, long queues. For citizens, for businesses, it really felt like it could be a new era of efficiency, a digital escape from all that bureaucratic friction.
But anyone who's actually tried to use these services knows exactly what happens next. The dream hits a wall, and fast. You do everything right online. You fill out all the forms, you hit that submit button, and then you get this message. And let's be clear, this isn't just some random bug in the system. Oh no, this is the system, and it perfectly captures the core conflict we're going to deconstruct today. And here it is. This is the central paradox of the whole situation. See, we're not actually building new, efficient digital systems. What we're doing is building a perfect but ultimately pointless digital mirror image, a digital twin of our old, slow, paper-based world. And it inherits every single one of its flaws. This isn't just a simple glitch, it's a really deep systemic failure. So let's break down why this is happening.
Okay, our first stop in this diagnosis gets right to the heart of the matter, the digital twin fallacy. And the key thing to understand here is that the problem isn't the technology itself. We've got the servers, we've got the apps. The real problem is the entire philosophy, the whole way of thinking behind this digital push. So what exactly do we mean by this fallacy? Well, it's pretty simple. It's when you take a process that was designed from the ground up for paper, for physical stamps, for files in a cabinet, and you just slap a website or an app on top of it without fundamentally changing a single thing about the process itself. It's kind of like putting a beautiful, slick touchscreen on a 100-year-old engine. Sure, it looks modern on the surface, but it doesn't change how it works underneath at all. So why on earth does that physical stamp refuse to die? Well, there are a couple of big reasons. First, there's what we call legal lag. The laws that bureaucrats have to follow were built for a paper world, which makes a physical stamp feel legally safer and more real than a digital signature. Second, it's about the psychology of accountability. In a low-trust system, that physical ink mark is seen as undeniable proof that a decision was made. And the consequence of all this? You, the citizen, you are forced to become the bridge, this human API, literally printing a document from one digital system just to physically hand it to someone in another. And that leads us directly to our second diagnosis. See, the problem isn't just with these individual processes. It's a massive failure in the very architecture of government itself. We're calling it the Sisyphus of silos. Interoperability. It sounds complicated, but it just means getting different computer systems to talk to each other. And its failure in Nepal is absolutely not because our engineers can't do it. They can. It's because our ministries won't let them. This is a political problem, plain and simple. Each ministry guards its data like a medieval lord guards his castle, because in a bureaucracy, data equals power, it equals budget, it equals relevance. And this mindset has a direct, frustrating impact on your daily life. Because sharing data is seen as giving up power, something as simple as renewing your vehicle registration turns into a complete nightmare. You might pay your tax digitally, but the transport office's system can't see it. The insurance data is locked away somewhere else. Traffic police records are in yet another silo. And so, that little paper blue book remains the single source of truth. Why? Because it's the only thing that can physically travel between all these disconnected digital fiefdoms. Okay, so we've diagnosed the core problems, and it might sound a bit grim, but what's the solution? This brings us to the prescription, which is a fundamental strategic shift that we're calling the API pivot. Right now, the government is trying to be a product builder. It's trying to make apps for you to use, but this puts them in direct competition with the private sector. And frankly, that's a competition the government just can't win when it comes to user experience. The proposed shift is for the government to stop being a product builder and start being a platform provider. So instead of trying to build the house, it should just build the rock-solid foundation and the roads, and then let everyone else build amazing houses on top. Let's make this even more concrete. The output needs to change from building apps to building APIs. Okay, so what's an API? Just think of it as a secure, standardized digital doorway. Instead of the government building one mediocre app, it creates dozens of these secure doorways. This allows the private sector to plug right in and build their own amazing user-friendly services on top, sparking what the source material calls a Cambrian explosion of innovation. And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. You just have to look at the India stack. The Indian government didn't try to build the best payment app. What they did was build a payment layer, the UPI API. And that single move allowed hundreds of companies, like Google Pay and PhonePe, to build world-class services on top of it, completely transforming their economy. That's the power of this platform model. create layers for identity, payments, data, and consent, and then let others build on them. So, we have the diagnosis, and we have a proven prescription. What does the future actually hold? Well, this brings us to the prognosis, and it really all comes down to a question of political will. When you look at it, there are really two clear paths forward. Path one, and this is probably the most likely one, is that we just muddle through. We'll see some small fixes, some minor improvements here and there, but the core digital twin problem will remain, and that true transformation will stay just out of reach. But then there's path two, the API pivot. Now, this would require a bold, top-down decision to build a unified Nepal stack, which could unlock massive economic value as the private sector rushes in to innovate. And all of this brings us to the single most important takeaway, the hard truth of the matter. The failure of paperless government in Nepal has absolutely nothing to do with technology. It has failed because it's been treated like an IT project, when in reality, it is a project of deep political and administrative reform. And so this leaves us with the final defining question. It's not about if we can build the technology. We can. It's about whether our leaders can find the political courage to actually dismantle those bureaucratic fiefdoms, to break down the walls between ministry silos, to force data sharing, and to truly empower a digital-first world over a paper-first past. That, right there, is the real challenge.